speech therapist. I just want to go over basically, they're going to hand out some handouts, but try to make it as simple as possible. So prompt, is anybody doing prompt speech therapy now? Okay, great. Has anybody heard of prompt speech therapy? Besides that, okay. Oh, over here? Sorry. Okay, so it's basically touching the patient's face to elicit sounds, kind of like a dance instructor teaching a dancer where to put their arms during dance class. We're kind of facilitating the movement. So for an example, like if I'm gonna do it on myself, if we're gonna say the word mom, I would do mom or mom. So I'm kind of guiding the movements of the child's face to create the sounds. So they also, in prompt, it follows a motor speech hierarchy, which sounds really complicated, but basically we work on certain sounds, which I have on the sheet and you can ask me about, but it's a little complicated, where we start with jaw sounds, then lip rounding, then tongue sounds, and then putting it all together. So I try to make it as simple as possible, but I can say more. Yeah, I guess it works really well with CHAMP1 kids, and that's the simple version of it. I can give more information, or do you want? I can say, so a few other things. With speech, prompt focuses on words that are going to be functional for you. So we work on words like me and you, and if it's important to your child, then it's important to say it. So instead of working on like an R for rabbit, we'd be working more on words that are important to your child, so we focus on that. I can show you some prompts. Yes, questions, thank you.
Hello. I might have missed this, so I apologize. How much, so you were showing us examples from the outside. Do you do like in the mouth at all?
No.
I know there's some therapies, right, that kind of help.
Yeah. No, prompt is all surface, so which is kind of confusing because like for tongue sounds, you have to go underneath their tongue and push kind of hard to get their tongue to move, and certain vowel sounds. So, but yeah, we don't go in their mouth, but we're able to get that same feedback so that the child can still know where their tongue is supposed to go. Yes.
I want to share as a mom of somebody who currently, it has Hello, okay. So much so that when she is pronouncing a word and she knows she can kind of hear, ooh, they can't understand me, she prompts herself. So she touches her face so she can make the proper sound, and she has a lot of confidence with that. It can be hard sometimes to find prompt therapists, but a lot of speech pathologists have background in it, or you can ask your speech pathologist to get more educated on that.
Yeah. There are prompt, there's four different levels: introductory, then a bridge course, then a practicum, and then a certification. So the certification I took me about, with the whole thing, it was like a 5-year certification. I had 6 months of a mentor. It is very involved, but yeah, it's very helpful because we're giving that feedback to the child. So if they know they want to say mom, but they can't say it, I can help them say mom, and giving that feedback helps them remember, oh, okay, that's how it's supposed to feel like. So, yes. Any other questions? Yes.
I'll also attest, we had a family in Canada that the child wasn't able to say certain words, and for the first time they started using prompt therapy, they were saying, I believe it was the wife's name, which was a very like long name. So, and I think it's any therapist. It's as good as any therapy is as good as a therapist. But we need therapists that are in our kids' mouth to help manipulate their hypertonia of the mouth. So I think we've heard from our community, some of the families that have done it. It has been more successful than traditional speech therapy.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Anything speech therapy in general?
Is there an age, like starting range, like if say you have an older child and who's been through speech for years, but not prompt, would prompt still be viable for an older child?
Well, I feel like you should try. You can try it. I have seen success because they still need that feedback and teaching them. So I think it could be beneficial for sure. There's no age where it isn't helpful. So we try everything.
I was just going to say one more thing because I had forgotten.
Sorry.
Previously. By the way, my daughter is Eloise, and she will come up to you and say, "What's your name?" So that's my kid. Along with prompt therapy, we also used a program called Kaufman. So for English-speaking languages, I would highly suggest this. They are cards that help start teaching the child both visually and then also the pronunciation of the words. Definitely do this in partnership with the speech pathologist, but there's a lot of online resources for that. So even if your child is only making sounds like ba, ma, that's where we started. I was not convinced my child was ever going to speak as well as she does today, but I would highly recommend that. My husband and I very much believe that particular program with prompt is why we have a child speaking as well as she is today. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I would say that
Kaufman, Kaufman, I think.
Kaufman and Prompt and Talk Tools and lots of other programs, I think that the reason that they are successful is because they follow that motor speech. The jaw is the foundation of all speech, then it's lips, and then it's tongue, because we can't teach on developmental norms. So that's why I think Kaufman and those programs are successful. We do that too, and it helps a lot. Any other speech questions?
Anyone have any more speech-related questions?
I tried to make it simple, sorry. Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Hi, I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest speaker. It's Alexandra Davis. She's an OT. She's going to tell you about a new approach.
I'm not a free speaker like Nicole, so I'll be bringing a PowerPoint. Give me 1 minute. My name's Alex. I'm an occupational therapist at Family First Therapy. I do a variety of therapies, different specialties of therapies, some that are newer. Some you may have heard of, some you may not have. DMI, E-stim, vibration, and intensive-based therapy. All right. All right, what is DMI? DMI is a therapeutic technique used in physical and occupational therapy to treat children with motor delays by improving automatic postural responses and promoting progress towards developmental milestones. DMI can benefit any child with gross motor delays, whether they have a diagnosis or not. Commonly, we see a lot of Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, hypotonia, spinal cords, brain injuries, and genetic disorders. Children born prematurely who are also at risk of delays, and children with orthopedic conditions, which sometimes we just see secondarily. I get this question a lot: how is it different from traditional therapy? You're all spending a lot of time in traditional therapy, so what makes this different? DMI is focused on being a dynamic approach. We are working on improving neuroplasticity. We do this by exercises that expose a child to gravity and use of distal and decreased support. So if you look at this first picture, there's a child who's standing in my hands there. This child does not stand, he does not walk, he does not crawl. This is the first time he's really experienced verticality and being upright. You can imagine what it would feel like to experience that for the first time. Every muscle in your body is gonna kick in, right? And now he has the opportunity to work on balance, postural control, head control, right? Same with, you can see an example of just how we do it in sitting too. That's kind of like a key mark of DMI. People will say, you know, sometimes it looks like a circus, but this is really what they're doing and why. Next picture, we have this little baby. He's learning to walk with handheld assist. This is typical in traditional therapy. DMI is different in the sense that it uses distal and then decreasing support. So in the picture of the DMI therapist below, you can see that they're holding below the knees. When we hold below the knees when we're walking with a child, they now have to control their knees, their hips, their pelvis, their trunk, their head, right? So it gives them a little bit more of a challenge, and it makes it easier for us to fade it. And I think, like, I mean, I've been a therapist for 5 years. When I took this course, there were so many things that just made sense to me, right? I was thinking, like, why are we teaching kids to walk with their hands up in the air when, like, naturally that's not what we do, and now we have to spend time relearning the correct pattern, right? So this is why I'm here today. I am treating a client who just recently got diagnosed with CHAMP1, Emerson, who's making his way around the crowd. Emerson was about 1 year and 4 months old at the time of this video, so I thought I'd show a little bit of what his session looks like. Emerson's working a lot on transitions to help him be a little bit more independent. So we do a lot of sitting. Emerson has hypotonia. He's very low tone, so we've been working a lot on strengthening our trunk and head control. He actually prefers to stand, so we've been slowing down a little bit and trying to work on strengthening our arms to get towards crawling. But you can see just some different ways that we work on trunk control and head control. I will note that he's extremely happy in these sessions, but this does not always happen. Okay, something you might see a lot with DMI is E-stim, electrical stimulation. Does anyone see this? Yeah, a little bit. So E-stim is used for muscle strength, range of motion, sensation. It's also really impactful for decreasing spasticity and teaching motor learning. So specifically with DMI, and what I do is task-specific or functional E-stim. So we use it during a specific task. So for example, a child is trying to self-feed. I might put it on their biceps and then turn it on with a switch, and now their hand comes in, right? So we learn this pattern over and over again of self-feeding. Here with Emerson, you can see we're working on sitting. So if we don't have good trunk control, we can't get our arms up to reach. So we can elicit trunk and turn on the correct muscles. So here we're firing his glutes to get a little bit more trunk extension. He's able to engage more in functional reaching and play. Another component you might have seen with DMI is whole body vibration. So this can be used for balance, strength, flexibility, motor function. Also impactful for reducing spasticity and tone for these high tone kiddos, and improving overall functional mobility. I'm gonna give a little bit more of an example of what whole body vibration is and why I think it's so powerful as a tool to use in therapy and at home. If you don't have a therapist that does this, there's no reason that you guys can't be doing this at home too. But when we think of, if we look back for a second, this vibration plate, right, it sends these waves through. These waves are measured in hertz. When it's going at a slow rhythm, we're using it to work on balance. So we can, you know, work on single leg balance, and even for a kiddo that's just learned to balance and stand, we can just target that. As it starts to get a bit faster, we can use that to work on stretching, like, oh, now my muscles are feeling more relaxed, I can stretch, I can improve my range of motion. And then at a really high level, 20 hertz or higher, we can actually target tone and fatigue spasticity. So we can, I think the research shows now, like 10 minutes on vibration at 20 hertz or higher can reduce high tone kids' spasticity for up to 2 to 3 hours. So pretty impactful. Imagine, like, you know, before therapy, if your kid's high tone, you could break through some of that and then have a more functional session. And then intensives. So intensives are offered by OTs, PTs, and a variety of different therapies. The purpose of an intensive is just to accelerate your progress. They're typically 1 to 3 hours a day. I've seen up to 6 hours a day at centers like Napa. They are typically 5 days a week for 1 to 3 weeks in duration. Obviously, you know, this approach leads to quicker progress because you're practicing so much, right? I will say, I always say, like, progress comes from practice, right? And so just having the increased frequency for these kiddos that have a hard time with motor planning is huge, just like with prompts too, right? All right, thank you for listening. Questions?
Your intensives.
Say that one more time.
The intensives,
Oh, yeah.
the shorter duration, longer session, is that more of like a muscle memory response where you're, like can you explain a little bit more of the intensives for us, please?
Yeah, so intensives have been around for a while. It's not like DMI, it's not a completely new approach. We've seen intensives even in kiddos when we're doing like CIMT, which is like constraint-induced arm movement and things like that. And research has shown that best duration is 2 to 3 weeks. So after the kind of, you know, the first week is great. I feel like, you know, most of these intensives are private pay. It's a lot for families. There's a lot of grants out there, so I would say reach out to a therapist if you're on the fence because you don't think you can afford it. I think I got like 80% of my families funded this year, and that's something like we try very hard to find fundings for you guys because we know it's so hard already. However, yeah, 2 to 3 weeks is ideal. They say like the first week is always the hardest. It takes them, you know, sometimes we're dealing with spasticity and they're cramping up and it's just hard. It's like imagine going to the gym for the first time and it's like, oh, we're going 3 hours today. It's a lot for them that first week. Second, third week, it's beautiful. It like starts really clicking in place. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
So can DMI work for kids who have gross motor delay?
Yeah, DMI is specifically for kids with gross motor delays.
Okay, and how does that work? Like with gross motor delay?
Yeah, so for example, we can look even at this picture. You know, this little kiddo, after his intensive, he started, the first kiddo, we started kind of working on crawling. He started getting to, and ended up learning to independently army crawl, started progressing towards like quad crawling, got some of his first stands, like very brief stands, but he's coming back again for another round. So my goal like in the next couple of months is to get him to standing. But at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, all of our therapies, we're doing exercises, we're targeting motor planning. We're just doing it at increased frequencies. And with DMI specifically, they're doing a lot of those. It's just a new approach, like doing the anti-gravity kind of stuff, floating them, just figuring a new way to trigger reactions. Any other questions?
Hi. Families that come from Europe have
Yeah, I will say on DMI's website, there's a registry on there and you can find providers, and they are expanding rapidly in international. That's like one of their main goals of this year. So they're training all over. I'm not sure, where are you at in Europe? There's definitely therapists in Portugal and in Spain. Yep, uh-huh.
To answer, in France, we did okay. In France, we did CME, crevasse method, so it seems to have a lot of similarities.
Yeah. CME is the original form of DMI. So CME was founded in South America, and it kind of branched out from there, and then they formed DMI here in the US and Canada. So CME is very similar.
Okay.
DMI is a little bit more of an expansive approach, but yeah, still a great technique and similar.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to hand it off, I think, to the next speaker.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to introduce you guys to Sarah Hutchings. She's Sienna's mom, and she's also the UK founder as well as Scott. Here's Sarah.
Sorry, we're just waiting for my presentation to come up because I can't do it freestyle. Well, I don't mind. Yeah, fine. Okay, so as Katie said, I am Sarah Hutchings. Just a little bit of background about me. I have worked in special educational needs over in the UK for 12 and a half years. I'm not a speech and language therapist, so everything I'm sharing today has come from experience from work and also things that I've done with my daughter. I'm going to go, it's a very quick whistle-top story, I don't have much time. I'm going to go through two things, intensive interaction and attention autism. If you have any questions, I'm not going to have time to do questions, but if you have any questions, please come and find me. I'm around all weekend, and I'm going to be in the children's room tomorrow, probably doing these things in the room. So please come and ask me questions, I just won't have time today. Okay? So the first one is intensive interaction. I don't have a laptop, guys, so you're going to, thank you. So it was developed by Dr. Dave Hewitt in the UK, and it's basically an approach to help all levels of development with severe, profound, or complex learning difficulties. So basically, intensive interaction is just about enjoying and being around other people. So communication isn't just speech, there's so much more than speech. So this sort of therapy focuses on the pre-speech stuff. Because you have to learn how to have a conversation. How do you have a conversation? What is it? It's two people. You have to pay interest to somebody. There's so many more things to communication than just that speech element. Okay, so I'm not going to go through them, you can all read. But the fundamentals of communication, so things that intensive interaction is great with are enjoying being with another person. I don't know if anybody saw you down here, but I was with a little girl who's actually French. She doesn't speak any English, but we could still have an amazing interaction just through, me copying her movements and playing. Sharing personal space, taking turns, eye contact, which I know a lot of our kids find really difficult, but it kind of, you don't make them make eye contact, but it helps to kind of support children with that eye contact and that kind of communication. Although I said it doesn't involve speech, obviously vocalizations are still part of that. So it's about kind of enhancing those, the things that they say. Not so much when they're stressed, much more when they're calm and ready to learn.
How is Worthy working, okay?
Okay, so how do you do it? So essentially, you observe and copy your child's actions. So what I tend to do is you can put a slot in your day to do it, but it's much better. You got to come up steps, could I? But it's much better if you just kind of do it ad hoc when and where it happens. Sienna is coming. That's okay. I'm going to let her come up. Be selective. So don't do it. I wouldn't. It's fine. She's fine. I wouldn't do it when Sienna's stressed. I wouldn't do it, because that's not the kind of interaction we want to develop. It can be anywhere, anytime, in any session. We've done it in the swimming pool before. We've done it. We've done it in the swimming pool, we've done it all over the place. It doesn't have to just be at home, and that we've done it in the park, things like that. And like I said, it doesn't need language. Okay, so there's a couple of videos here of Sienna. We've done intensive interaction with her from day one, purely because of my experience. We didn't know she had CHAMP1 until she was 3, so it's something that I've just kind of naturally done when she was a kid. So there should be 2 videos. I think one of them is of my husband. Yeah, here we go. So just kind of have a look at Sienna's behaviour and what she does, and kind of, bearing in mind Scott, this isn't natural to him. This is just a dad playing with his kid. But have a look at the video, and then I'll kind of go through after that.
The mini balloon blew away. You want me to get it?
Good, I'm glad it was good.
I'm going to steal mini real quick while we're running on stage.
Oh, Sorry. So yeah, basically the video is, it will play in a minute, but just while we're waiting it for load. So it's basically, Sienna was on a rocking horse, and Scott found, I love penguins. Scott found a penguin and just kind of joined in, but you can see in the video Sienna kind of clocking that, and kind of, she then sort of stops and starts, and she was only 18 months old, I think, at the time.
I know, I've got a strange looking horse.
Is it funny? Okay, and the next one is Sienna was about a couple of weeks ago when I realised I needed a video for this presentation. So Sienna loves dancing and music, so we do a lot of intensive interaction around dancing and music. So yeah, this is a much, much more recent video of Sienna. Okay, apparently we're not going to have the video. Okay. As I mentioned earlier on the community advisory group, I will pop this stuff on there because apparently it's not loading, which is really annoying because it's a really lovely video of Sienna kind of, we've done this for a long time, so she's very good at it now, but it's, you know, those kind of really subtle, like she looks at me and then she kind of looks at me to wait if I'm going to copy her, and all of that kind of lovely stuff. So that's it on intensive interaction. That's very quick. I'm really sorry. But if you have any questions, please do let me know. And I'm happy to go through it with you kind of one-to-one if you want me to. So the second one I'm going to have a quick look at. Hello? Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, it's just not on there. Okay, so the second one I'm going to really quickly go through is attention autism. There's much more to this than I can kind of do right now, but I'm going to give you a vague kind of overview of the stages. I'm going to play some videos, hopefully if they load, but they're going to be very quick. Again, this is something I've done in my career for a really, really long time. It's one of my favourite things to do at work. The kids love it, and again, it doesn't focus on that speech. It's that pre-speech stuff, which is amazing. I'm just going to keep going, and then it'll sort itself out in a minute. Yes, so what is it? So it's an intervention designed by Gina Davis, who's a speech and language therapist in the UK. If you ever get the chance to watch her videos or see her speak, she's incredible. But attention autism, although it's got autism in the word, it doesn't have to be children with autism. It can be anybody with communication difficulties. Focuses on those early stages of development, so awareness of others, attention, listening, shared attention, switching attention, and turn-taking. So who's it useful for? Anyone who struggles with attention. I know Sienna does. She's got a really short attention span, so this has kind of helped to increase that attention span. And it's also really good for anyone with those really early communication skills. So how does it work? So attention autism has 4 stages. So stage 1 is the focus, which is called the bucket. I mean, you don't have to use a bucket, you can use whatever you want. But stage 2 is a sustain section, so that's the attention builder. And then stage 3 is a shift, so that's when the children get a go. And then stage 4 is transitions, tabletop activity. Just for a little bit of reference, Sienna is 5. We only ever do stages 1 and 2. Okay, you don't have to do 1 to 4. That's really tough. Like, the stage 4 is a lot of independent work, and that's really difficult for children. So you don't have to do all 4 stages. Like, we started with stage 1, then once you got good at stage 1, we then went on stage 2. And eventually, we're getting there with her for stage 3, but we're still not there completely. She finds turn-taking quite tricky. Adult rules. So I say adult rules, these are things that I found work. Make it really exciting. So it could be bubbles that you've seen 50,000 times before, but when you put it in that box, it should be the most exciting thing you have ever seen in your entire life. Because if it isn't exciting for you, why is it going to be exciting for the person watching you? Yes, you can feel a bit like a plonker when you do it for the first time. It takes some experience to kind of practice that stuff. Minimal language. So the idea isn't there's language from us as the deliverer of this. There's not an expectation of language for the child. Yes, they can talk if they want to, but it isn't about that. Perfect timing. And then the complete focus is on activity. So it's not, you don't fleeting, you don't go in and out. You focus on the activity and then you're done. Yeah, leave it there, that's fine. Yes, so this is stage 1. I'm not going to play the whole video because it's about 6 minutes long and I don't have that long. But it just gives you an idea. So the aim of this is to gain the children's attention and keep their focus using highly motivating and engaging toys. I have a whole bucket at home that is just for this. Sienna isn't allowed to play with those toys at any other time. Like, we have to do the box to play with them. So yeah, I'm going to really quickly go through. I'll just start playing this and then can I play it from here? Okay.
Okay, it's time for the box. First is the box. Second is flower faces. Third is car ramp. And 4 is tower building. But first, it's the box. I've got something in my box, in my box, in my box. I've got something in my box. Shall we have a... Oh. Wow!
So yeah, actually, I'm going to move on because I've been given the 5-minute warning, so I'm going to move on. But that's basically the box. It's a really exciting box of toys. Yes. Yeah, I know. So she's really excited because I filmed them at home, so she knows that that's our house. So stage 2, I've moved on here, but it's not on. Yeah, thanks. Stage 2 is the attention builder. So it's an activity that is sequential and it builds up to an exciting end. Children still don't touch the toys at this point. So stage 1 and 2, children don't touch. So yeah, we'll really quickly show this.
It's time for faces. Tough tray. Sieve. Flower. Open. Flower. Shake, 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 shake. Stopped. Eye, nose, mouth, smile.
Yeah. Okay, so you can kind of see there is more to it, but obviously I'm running out of time and I can't do this now. I won't show the videos for stage 3 and 4 purely because I think 1 and 2 is enough for now, but again, I'll put them onto our community advisory group thing when I do it. But basically, stage 3 is a shift, so it's a turn-taking game, so I did a really simple ball game. It can be something really simple. Children can now have a go, but obviously in turn-taking. And then stage 4 that's the transition, so you do a tabletop activity. So ideally, it's something a child can do independently. Don't play the video, it's fine. Yes, so you get they get their own stuff. So one of the video is a tower. So it's a really simple activity, but it's just really short activities for the kids.
Now it's time for...
So that's a really, 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 we're not doing that, ignore that. Really, really quick whistle-stop tour. I will do it, put them all on the website, but if you've got any questions, please come and find me during this weekend, and I will happily show you and go through it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. The next speaker we have is BCBA, Jesse Ramirez. He's going to talk about behavioral therapy. He's a close family friend of ours, and he's worked with JJ personally for a few years, a while back.
And it has that referral link at the bottom so that they could find therapy in every state.
All right, and he's also come with some handouts. I'm going to pass them around.
Sir, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse Ramirez. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. And I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. I'll be in the children's room tomorrow helping out with some of the kiddos in there. Just want to talk to you a little bit about ABA therapy. So some people might ask, what is ABA therapy? It's therapy that works on improving social, emotional, and life skills to help children with disabilities become more independent. Another focus is decreasing behaviors that are unwanted, like aggression, tantrums, property destruction, and self-injurious behavior. We do this through reinforcement, extinction. Extinction is no longer reinforcing those behaviors. This is why parent training is very important. Behavior often gets worse before it gets better, especially when they're used to getting their way doing something, and then now you're saying, no, you're not going to get what you want anymore by doing this behavior. You have to ask appropriately. We're going to replace it with something that's functionally equivalent. ABA therapy takes place in the school, home, clinic, and community. I've worked in all 4 settings. I have my own business. I currently have about 15 clients that I'm working with. The goal of applied behavior analysis is for all individuals with special needs to live, work, and play in their community. I did write some personal testimonies down that I'm very proud of working with some of the kids that I work with. So I currently have a client that is a grill cook at a restaurant. Before he started therapy, parents didn't really have much of a hope for what he was going to do with his life, and he's worked at a bowling alley. He's currently a grill cook. He's applying at other jobs. He actually has 2 jobs right now, and he's doing really, really well. And also, I have a client that I work with in a school setting. He is now in 9th grade. In 6th to 7th grade, he had straight Fs. 8th grade, we worked on we made a school pass and essentially worked as a token economy for him to earn things at the end of the week, activities in the community, little gifts that he liked and that he wanted, preferred meals. We would go out and sit down, talk, and eat with each other. And then I have a highly aggressive client right now that I'm currently working with. We were experiencing aggression 30 times a session. And now we have reasonably decreased that down to about 1 to 2 times a session, except when those outliers, for example, when we call it spontaneous recovery, he was used to getting his way by becoming aggressive. He would gain access to items, gain access to attention. He was learning that, oh, if I, tear up my stuff, I can get out of this work. If I hit the teacher, I could get out of doing my work. And we used extinction to get rid of that. And he's being homeschooled right now, and our goal right now is to get him back into the school setting, but first stabilize the behavior in the home where it's more safe, where there's not a lot of other kids around that he could injure. As Yates mentioned, I've worked with one CHAMP1 kid, and the thing that I found that is really important with the CHAMP1 kiddos is consistency is the most important thing. If you say you're going to do something, follow through with it. Whether it's reinforcement, whether it's if you say like, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen, you have to follow through, because if they can't trust you, who else are they going to trust? You have to follow through on what you say you're going to do, especially when you say, hey, if you do this, I'm going to give you access to this. I see this so much. I had an instance last week with a parent. They were talking to me and they were saying that he was going to earn something, and then I was like, how did that go? And they're like, oh, he did earn it, but I forgot to give it to him. It's like, if you say you're going to give it to him, give it to him. Reinforce him, reward him for that behavior so that way it can increase. The thing that is most important that behavior analysts don't highlight enough is parents need to become the child's therapist. It's so important. Parents should know how to implement the behavior plan as much as the professionals, and this is done through parent training. I personally do parent training with every single one of my families on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Some families have a little bit more tight schedule, and we do it monthly. You should be involved in therapy. If you are not involved in therapy, it will not be as effective. And I have a referral guide here. So at the top of the referral guide, I have something that's called the 4 functions of behavior. Something that we look at as behavior analysts is, why is the behavior occurring? Is it occurring because they're trying to escape? Is it occurring because they are trying to gain attention? Is it occurring because they're trying to gain access to something? Or is it occurring because it is a sensory stimulation? I have a client that presses behind his ears really hard. He has bruises right behind his ears. And he does that, obviously, because it feels good. So I gave a little bit of information on that. Until, let's say, some of you guys are not currently enrolled in ABA therapy, I highly encourage it. But if you guys aren't, I gave you guys a little something. I wish I could work and train everybody and work with everybody here today. And then at the bottom, I found this really cool website while I was preparing for this. It's the first blue link under referrals for therapy, and that link has ABA companies that are credentialed and certified by a board in every single state in the United States. I did look also abroad internationally. I could not find something like that. However, if you go on Google and just type in ABA therapy near me, if that doesn't work, applied behavior analysis therapy near me, board certified behavior analyst near me, get enrolled in some sort of therapy like that. They also have cognitive behavior therapy as well. That's also a really effective method. So do you guys have any questions?
Is it possible for you to be influenced to, by maybe our families, to do some short videos or something, even if you had to charge us for those?
No, no charge at all. Yeah, we could do it tomorrow.
But that would be maybe helpful to us families,
100%.
Even if it's just
something little and
like
small,
you mentioned, because I can tell you Oliver's mom struggles with the follow through.
Okay. Follow through is the most important thing, because if you don't follow through, that's with anybody, you know.
It's the battle.
If you have a boss at work that you know you're able to like do little things when they're here and do little things, it's with everybody. So it's especially important with kids that we follow through on what we say we're going to do.
And sometimes it's easier just to give up on the battle and give in than to actually follow through.
The example think about all the time is the kid in the candy store screaming for the candy bar, and then they give him the candy bar. No, don't do that. Do not do that. That is the worst thing you could do. You're reinforcing a negative behavior. It's going to keep happening because they're learning, oh, if I scream, I get my way. We have to teach something functionally equivalent, whether that's asking for attention, asking for the iPad, and then making them wait, and then starting slow, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. ABA therapy is not something that's done overnight. It's something that's done. There's a reason why Medicaid in Florida approves 6 months plans, because you get therapy for at least 6 months, because it does take at least 6 months. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years. I have kids that I work with now that I've been working with them for 2 or 3 years at a time.
So some of those key things that you speakers all talk about, like Medicaid approval for Florida, if you could have like a resource from these wonderful speakers that says, hey, check your Medicaid office in Ohio or UK or wherever.
Yeah, it's also not just Medicaid. I currently work with Cigna, Aetna, Blue Cross, TRICARE, Ambetter. There's a lot of insurances out there that United Healthcare covers ABA as well. It's hard to find a United Healthcare agency in Florida because their portals are closed, but Aetna, Blue Cross are really popular besides Medicaid. Yeah, and actually the first of the year, Medicaid is actually switching over to a different type of, I don't know how to explain it, but you're gonna have Medicaid, but it's gonna be Aetna Medicaid or Blue Cross Medicaid, or they're switching this over. It's gonna come in effect February 1st. That's for Florida. I don't know about for everything else, but yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Do you have any recommendations for temper tantrums and defusing them?
Yes. Can you give me an example?
Scratching themselves, biting themselves, pulling hair out. Not so much physical towards someone else, but hurting themselves in the process of the
What
tantrum.
happened right before that? Were they told no to something? Were they?
Usually, yes.
Okay. So this is a method that I use a lot. I will tell a kid no on purpose, because we have to practice these skills. We have to learn how to accept no. That's how life works, unfortunately. And then if they accept no immediately and they say, okay, I'll reinforce them immediately. Then I'll wait, you accepted it for a minute, then I'll reinforce you with whatever it is. Let's say it's a tablet. So if they ask for it, oh. So let's say it's the tablet, and say, hey, can't play the tablet right now. I'm sorry, buddy. We could play it in a little bit. He says, okay, give it to him immediately because, hey, I like how you accepted no. So reinforcing him immediately and then fading that up on a larger scale, making them wait for it, and then put a timer on, put like a time limit and start low, start 10 seconds, then go to 30 seconds. I have a kid that was highly aggressive, one of my staff members last week, and it's because of doing work. So I spoke with the kid, told him, hey, we're gonna do 4 worksheets a day because he's homeschooled. And he has not been aggressive all week because he knows this is what I have to do. And I said, hey, buddy, next week is going to be 5 worksheets. And then we're going to go to 6, and we're going to go all the way up to 10. And this is a kid that is verbal, obviously, so we can go back and forth and talk. If, let's say, the kid's nonverbal, I would work on that accepting no with them. Because is that example, was it because they were denied access to something?
It usually is, but it can be in any situation. Fighting with siblings, you can't do that. Or any time that she does not like what I am telling her to do. It doesn't have a certain me taking something away or not letting her have it. It's just anytime she's not happy with what I say.
Is it ever because she wants your attention?
She definitely does it for attention a lot.
So, yes. So the best thing you could do for that, we call it DRA, differential reinforcement of alternative behavior. You could, in small trials, I had a client that used to pinch me, and because he wanted my attention, and I would tell him, tap my shoulder. And then we started with just tapping the shoulder. And then eventually we worked on, because this kid was nonverbal, and we worked on pressing the button, excuse me, Jesse, attention, please. but it started with the tap on the shoulder. So I don't know what the verbal, how verbal your child is or
Completely
not.
verbal.
Completely, okay. So I would tell her, hey, I need you to communicate with me. If you want my attention, say, excuse me, Mom. Now this is where you come in. When she says, excuse me, you have to drop everything and reinforce her immediately, or that behavior is gonna come back. That is the, and this is why parent training is so important. And this is, I don't know if you have ABA therapy services, but I would definitely enroll. I would, for sure, especially if she is becoming aggressive with herself. Insurances will approve services for that, 100%.
Thank you.
And on that, referrals for therapy, my email is there. I check my email every hour probably. So if you are having trouble finding therapy, or you have a question about something, you could email me there. And if it requires a phone call, I'll give you a phone call. I'll call you guys, see what we can work out, whether it's helping you guys find services or whatever it may be. One more question if someone has one. Hi, bud. I remember you from 3 years ago. Hi, buddy. All right, well, that's my time. I appreciate you guys, taking the opportunity to let me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse. Our next speaker is Champ Mom Merritt, and she's going to talk to you guys about hippotherapy and also how it's really impacted and helped her daughter. She's traveled all the way here from Germany. And we also want to thank her too, because she does a lot of active fundraising with the Europe. Mary, here it is.
Yeah, so thank you. I'm married Schlagelambers. I'm from Germany, and I'm sometimes doing writing therapy, and I do it with champs because my daughter is a champ, and this is Torvi, who is very happy on a horse. Writing therapies, this is including hippotherapies. There are different kinds of directions, and writing therapies are a treatment that can be used for many clinical pictures carried out by specialists. The three-dimensional movement of the horse has a positive effect on the kids. That's the main big thing about hippotherapy, because you can't act like that in a normal therapy. You can't, fake this three-dimensional movement. And the great thing about hippotherapies is that they are holistic. You can promote motor skills, cognitive things with your child, emotional and social development. The physical benefits are improving the cross and fine motor skills. They can also be used to improve the balance, the strength and the fitness, the coordination, because it's not easy to be on the horse when it's moving. You can strengthen your flexibility and mobility, loosening and relaxation of individual body parts, body awareness is trained and improved. I have to shorten it a bit. The cognition you can train the memory, the recognition and reasoning, problem solving thinking, learning and knowledge, logical thinking and decision making. And all of this is addressed and encouraged in writing therapy. If you have any questions about all these topics, please reach out. I have tons of examples, but I can't do it here. So you can support the emotion. This is really interesting because if you're acting with a horse, they are acting like you are. If you are too loud, they are scared and stuff like that. So you really develop the emotional behavior of the kids besides the riding. It's so cool. Yeah. Then you can talk about your feelings with the horse and the interaction on that. The social thing is you can put groups of riding kids, and then they have to develop teamwork skills, respecting rules and boundaries. It's really important with horses because it can be dangerous if you don't follow it, and you probably might learn it. Then, yeah, you learn to be heard and stand back in groups. You learn empathy. You have to listen because it's interacting with animals and all of this stuff. Nonverbal signals, learning and showing is easy with horses or animals at all. So, and then a huge point is the sensoric aspect because there's fur or hair, and yeah, that's for the most children the greatest thing. For Torvi it is. Yeah, smelling, horses smell. Some kids don't like it, but the most like it really much because they need great sensory input, and a lot of smelling is good then. Yeah, you can use materials on horses like occupational therapy and so on. Or you can paint the horse like that, and it's really not easy because you have to use the hair, and this is developmental improvement too. So with Torvi we tried to start with 8 months, but didn't work really. So here she is 10 months old, and we tried to put her backwards on the horse because it's easier to hold yourself there. She couldn't sit. She started sitting by herself, I think, with 14 months, and we ride like that. I was behind her, and so she can sit, so she can improve her body stability. And now she is, yeah, she still loves laying on the horse because it's more impact, I think, and it's fun. This is from, I think, 2 weeks ago. And she can also sit on the horse, but she needs help sometimes, depends on her daily mood. And yeah, this is such a nice inclusion picture because the girl who's, I don't know, holding the horse, she's disabled too and does a trainee there. So, and she's riding since she's, I think, 3 years old, and she's really good. I think she has a rare disease, but isn't tested. Yeah, supporting teens and adults who are severe. You can use people to hold the people on the horse, or yeah, we made a ride out and take people with us, and so they feel included and have a social experience, and this is super nice. There are some contraindications for people who shouldn't go on the horse, or situations you don't do it. This is when you are really severely ill. You have open wounds or something like that. Unstable seizures. If you have seizures and it's on a good medication, it's okay to go on horse because why not? But if you're unstable and it can happen every time, better not. Yeah, restlessness. Sometimes, yeah, there are kids that are running away and then, yeah, they're gone. That's not so nice. Dizziness, often with stroke patients. Lack of communication skills doesn't mean to be nonverbal. You all know it. The most kids have communication skills, and a severe allergy to animal hair. Yeah, a short note to animal welfare. If you go to Hippotherapy, please know that you are the consumer and you can decide how the horses live. So be aware that the horse have free time on the meadow, that they are getting dressage or free time with neurotypical people, because carrying disabled children or caring for disabled children is exhausting, as you all know. So mental and physical comprehension for the horses is necessary. So this is a normal Sunday for the horses, ride out and being peaceful, but dressage and jumping is also very good for them. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. Yeah? We have something from the healthcare system. It's Verhinderungspflege. I don't know. It's you can choose someone to watch for your child when you're not available, and you can use this to pay it. But it's also possible with other therapies which are not like in the healthcare system. So that's the best way to do it. Yeah, it's not in the healthcare system, but yeah, there are fundings for that. Yeah.
Other questions? So we go in 3, 2, 1, done.
Thank you so much, Merritt. So guys, our next topic is about mental health, and we have Troy Lanning that's going to lead about it and about how it's important to take care of you.
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing? Good. Good. Hey, we got 15 more minutes and then some hors d'oeuvres. I would have spelled that completely differently if you would have given me the opportunity to spell that. But yeah, for this session, we're kind of just it's gonna be an open discussion. And so anything, it's mental health and caregiving. So as we are kind of different families that are coming into this, some of you guys might have been in here for a little bit, some of you guys might be brand new to CHAMP1, and so we just kind of want to open it up to anyone. Does anyone have a story that they want to share? Does anyone have questions that you guys are dealing with right now, whether it be with you, whether it be with your kids, your champs, just anything that you kind of want to bring up right now, and then we can kind of bring it around to the tables and just have like a family style discussion. Sound good? Cool.
I promised I would participate, so I'm sorry I'm talking a little much. I'm passionate about this topic. I think we all probably are, unique to what we deal with our children. In the last year or so, I discovered through health insurance that you can get yourself therapy for a kid, when you're managing a kid like this in your home, typically through your health insurance in the United States. So I'm sorry I can't speak to other countries. And that has been extremely helpful. So having a therapist that I can go to talk about the unique situations with Eloise and have this person give me some guidance and some support, and not just the kind of therapist that like hears you and says, oh, I'm so sorry, and how do you feel about that? Like someone who can actually give you specific ideas and structure to support you and your family. The second thing is, Eric and I also learned this probably a little late, parent behavior, like therapy and coaching, which I think was spoken to, but that's really helped us be on the same page, and that can be really challenging with parenting in general, but I think when you're facing something like this, having that available, we get it through our school district, so I don't know if that's available to everyone through your school district, but if you don't ask for it, I promise you they don't bring it up. So that's something that you might want to check on if you haven't. We do ours virtually, and so sometimes when you hear about therapy, you're like, when would we have time for that? We work. And so we schedule it on our lunch break. It's doable. And then of course, the therapy for your children, if you aren't doing this, recommendation is really lean into your school district for everything available. And then outside of that, then like health insurance and then state aid and then national aid, and just keep pushing those buttons, because there is a lot of support available if you keep asking. That's what we have found.
Let me just remark one thing. This session is streamed, but only to the families. So feel free to say anything, because it's like we are just in a private group, let me say, okay?
Yeah, does anyone else have any stories or anything that you guys are currently struggling with right now? I think this is like a great place around other families, and I mean, this is the first time that we've seen first time I've met anyone else with CHAMP1, so it's just a really great opportunity to be around other dads that know what I've been going through for the last couple years. Be around other kids and be able to see my son and your kids has just been an awesome experience already. So yeah, is anyone in here that wants to kind of share something that they've been struggling with or that they want to get help with, talk with?
Just say one thing that I kind of mentioned this. I'm not a guy who likes sharing my emotions. This is awkward for me. It's not something I'd care to do. But I will say I really appreciate the bros in here just being able to kind of knowing that they know exactly what it's like. So if you're not somebody that likes to branch out, it's cool knowing that there's other dads or moms in here that can relate to you. And I appreciate a lot of you guys in here, and just want to say that at least.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that I'm not ashamed to say I've really struggled with mental health. I think we waited 3 years to get a diagnosis for Sienna, and I think for me, I wanted an answer, and the answer I got wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to know why she was struggling, and then to be basically told she's got a rare genetic condition, we don't know anything about it, see you later. And we were just left with this, I don't know what to do. And I think this is why these kind of events are so important, but the Facebook group is great. Like, I found so much strength and comfort in talking to other people, and I've spoken to parents today that, I don't know if people are here, but when you're newly diagnosed, we've had people reach out to us and go, help, what do I do? And it's only when you've been in that situation, everyone in this room has been in the same place. We've all been given that diagnosis, we've all gone, help. And I think it's really important. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that I've struggled, and I still struggle. There are days where things are really hard with Sienna, and my working life is very similar to my home life, which doesn't help. I'm trying to fix that. It's not as easy as it looks. But I think it's really important that we have these conversations about that we are all in the same boat and we are here to help each other. Like, that sounds really cliche, but it's true. Like Troy said, we've all been there. We know how it feels, and it's not a bad thing to say that I've struggled. I'm not ashamed to say that. Like, I'm okay with that. But I think that's really important that you reach out, and even if it isn't, we're a unique lot of people that we know. Even in the rare disease world, people don't know what CHAMP1 is. I go to appointment after appointment and they go, what's CHAMP1? And I feel I basically need to record myself saying what CHAMP1 is, and then I just press play because I'm fed up of saying what it is, because it's exhausting and people don't listen, and it's hard work and it's exhausting. But it's just for me to say, from having conversations with parents that are newly diagnosed, or it does get easier, it does get better, it gets harder, it gets better, it gets harder, it gets better. People say to me, does it get easier as Sienna gets older? No, it just changes. The struggles we have now are not all we had before. But and as she gets older, there's going to be puberty. I'm dreading puberty. Like, if anyone's got any advice on puberty, please let me know, because I've no idea how to deal with that. But yeah, it's just a kind of long-winded way of saying, talk. That's what we're here for. Like, hopefully everyone's in the WhatsApp groups. There's lots of different WhatsApp groups. I think have you got an American WhatsApp group? Don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm not in it. If there is one, I didn't get invited, so.
Well, we need to sort that out then, because I know there's a European one, there's definitely a UK one. I know no one's from the UK, but there is a UK one. But they're really important, they're really good places to kind of go. We've had loads of conversations of like help, because you know, different countries do things differently. And I think again, it's just really useful to have that connection with people that all get it, because we do all get it, don't we? So that's my little.
Oh, sorry. So my name is Mandy. I actually have 2 kids with CHAMP1. They're 5 and 3. We have the misinterpretation. So no, when I learned about it, it was, well, your kids are going to be like high functioning. They're going to be more like normalized, but then they're still going to have issues. And so I'm like, okay. But when I heard some of the parents talk about like regression in their kids, I'm like, okay, well, maybe we won't, you know, my kids will probably be more functioning, but no, regression does happen to a lot of our CHAMP kids, and I've seen it in both my kids where, you know, they'll learn something and then after a while, they're like, okay, I'm going to stop learning this and do something else. But then they come back to it. So I definitely strongly recommend, you know, just keep working with your kids and just always praise them for the things they do. Like if they learn a new word, or if they, you know, learn to walk, or it's awesome to see. Like our kids, you know, it's just the different ways they learn. So everyone's gonna have their differences, but we're all together as a family. So I really appreciate it.
I guess I just wanted to share some encouragement that was really helpful to me. Oh, wow, I didn't expect to get emotional. So starting out, you know, like you kind of jump into all the therapies, you get this new diagnosis, you don't know what's going on, so you're like speech, PT, OT, ABA, like you just give me everything, right? I need all the help. So there was a while that we were doing the speech, PT, and OT, and like life just felt all consuming by therapy, you know? And then it got to a point where I felt like Jet started to get really anxious about therapy. So it was like, okay, this isn't like enjoyable for him anymore, but I also feel like he needs this. And I feel like personally for me, it's always this struggle and battle of like, am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? Did I say yes to the right things? Like just really that internal battle of wanting the best for your kids, but also not knowing what that looks like. And so when we started ABA therapy, we just realized like not only could we not take all those therapies on, but that was like so much for Jet. I just felt like his whole childhood was school, therapy, 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 therapy. And then it was like, where's the space for our family to just function as a family, no matter what that looks like, right? And so one of the manager actually at our PT and OT facility came up to me one day and she said, I just need to tell you this, and don't think it's coming from a bad place, but I just want to let you know that it's okay if you guys need to take a break. And that was like such a godsend of a statement, because sometimes you feel like you can't because you don't want to fall behind and you want your kids to get ahead. And so literally in that moment I said, great, we're not coming back next week. And we stopped PT and OT on the spot, and it was just such a relief. And so we really leaned into speech and ABA, and we actually just made the decision as a family to take a break from ABA right now, as he started kindergarten, just to kind of navigate that and see what that was like. But what also is helpful is to just know that like those decisions you make are not final. Like you can change your mind and you can come back to it. So like we've already been thinking like, okay, maybe this next year we're gonna pick up OT and PT again and kind of see where he's at and reevaluate. So yeah, just want to encourage you all in that, and that it's okay to step away from certain therapies, try and take on new ones, revisit them later, see how they adapt as they're a little older, they've learned some new skills. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, hello. I'm Grandpa.
Hi, Grandpa.
Yep. So I don't know if you guys have talked about this already, but does people talked about their ideas for solutions? Any little tricks out there to calm the child down, you know, during their outbreaks and things like that? Yeah.
Yeah, does anyone have any good tips or tricks for calming their child down during an outbreak that you guys have used?
So, I have my youngest, he's autistic, along with having CHAMP1. He does have outbursts a lot of times, and a lot of times we use transitions. So, you know, when he wants something, like, because a lot of times he'll freak out, you know, over food, or he'll freak out because, you know, his sister took a toy. So what we do is we try to get him away from that situation, put him in a different situation, say, hey, you know, maybe let's wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you know, and then we can come back to that situation and be like, okay, you can have this food or you can have that toy. So just, you know, using more of like a calming mechanism and just like, you know, sit down at a level and say, hey, you know, we can't have that right now, but maybe in 5 minutes you can, you know, we can be able to come play with that toy. A lot of my, both my kids, they have to learn, still learning to share. So we, you know, we have to set time limits on them with their toys and try to engage them to where they can share with one another, so they're equal time with each individual.
Yeah, another thing that we learned for my son Jet is that he loves physical play. And so whenever he's getting like crazy and he's starting to have his temper tantrums, like I just pick him up and throw him over my shoulder and throw him down on the couch and, you know, turn into a wrestling match right then and there. And it lets me get a little aggression out. No, I'm just kidding. No, but really, like he loves it. And, you know, when I see Stephanie struggling with him and they're like getting into these like matches, I could just come in and pick him up and, you know, toss him around a little, and he like instantly turns into laughing. He just loves that type of play. So you have to find the type of play that just kicks them out of that mode of whatever they're struggling with, because really it's just they're not understanding how to tell you whatever they want to tell you in that moment. So you just got to get them to feel laughter or happy or something like that. So, and it could be different. It could be a physical play. It could be, you know, rocking back and forth or whatever, you know, methods you guys find. But I think just getting them into that mode where you know they're going to like it to get their brain out of that kind of aggressive mode is helpful. Yeah.
Hello. So guys, listen, so I just want to remind you as we kind of wrap this up, there's some light hors d'oeuvres just to keep you guys in here and finish some of the conversations we started. And then 7 o'clock, start making our way to that atrium area, and you'll see us. We'll be out there. We'll probably put some balloons out there so no one gets lost. And there's pizza, and again, I know we're not the party crowd, but apparently there's drink tickets, so everybody gets a drink ticket if you're able to stick around and have a glass of beer or wine. Really excited for tomorrow. Really glad to meet some of you guys, and again, just we're in here for the next 30 minutes hanging if you guys are willing to.